Welcome, everybody. I have such an amazing guest with a huge heart, and I've got to know really well over the last several months, and she's warmed up my heart, has taken care of my family. This is Dr. Priya Balakrishnan, director
Hi,
of the
everything. Hi, Gia.
Immortality Institute, founded in 2007, located in Houston, Texas. She is quite the innovator with an amazing story of what she is working fearlessly on to really make a difference in the world. She's the inventor of a patented protocol to regenerate kidney and other organs to study and make happen human biological immortality. So thank you so much. This is big work. This is, some people run from chronic pain, chronic disease, and you're like, no, anybody that's in stage 3, 4, or 5 kidney failure, send them my way. I know I can help these people. So tell
Absolutely.
us, where did this big vision begin? Because we're going to break down, not only do you have this vision, you are sharing this around the world and helping other doctors to understand your protocols so you can scale your impact.
Thank you so much, JR. I appreciate that most gracious and generous introduction. And I feel lucky and blessed to be here with you and your audience. And the feeling of gratitude is mutual. You have helped me so much, and you've coached me, and you've brought me into your family of fellow medical professionals, all of whom you've trained and given us a practice to make happen our vision. So I appreciate you so much, and thank you from the bottom of my heart to be able to speak with you today and to your audience. To answer the question, I had completed my nephrology fellowship in 2001 at the University of Texas Medical School right here in Houston. I had been chief medical resident, chosen by Dr. Willerson out of 300 residents just prior to that. And after getting admitted at Harvard, Yale, and University of Pennsylvania, I chose the University of Texas because they chose me. And my family was here. It's a beautiful city that I live in. The people are warm, wonderful, welcoming, and I felt very lucky to start my fellowship here. During the course of my fellowship, I saw some very terrible things happen to our patients. Many of them died prematurely, even though they were on dialysis. Those that had chronic kidney disease were repeatedly in and out of the hospital. And one patient who was with another kidney group was accidentally bled to death by the situation in the unit, which was an accident. It was unavoidable. And that gave me nightmares as if I was myself the patient. I could not separate myself from the plight of that patient. And then, in the process of trying to put up my own dialysis unit, I encountered a formidable mentor in my mother who said, when I told her that all I needed was 10 patients on dialysis to make the dialysis unit break even, her advice to me was that she could not believe that she'd raised a daughter that would speak about patients who she was supposed to prevent from going on dialysis in this manner. To me, it felt like I'd hit a concrete wall as I was building up the momentum to scale, a pole vault kind of thing. The third thing I did was to set up a prevention of progression of renal diseases program for a chronic disease management company. I made it as a plan for their growth and development. It was an idea of my mentor, Dr. Akinson Soy Dosikan, who worked at the University of Texas Medical School. And when we took it to them, they were not interested in proceeding. So when these three things happened, I left nephrology. Fast forward 6 years later, I found myself in multi-organ failure and undergoing a near-death experience. My sister, the abdominal imaging radiologist, says, "Priya, your kidneys are shot." I said, "What do you mean, as I'm dying?" She says, "Your kidneys are so badly scarred, it looks like you've been on dialysis already." And that was the first time I'd ever heard that I had kidney problems myself. I didn't know what to make of it. And when I came out of the near death experience and the multi organ failure due to sepsis, my question to God was, why give it to me? I'm the one that walked away from, the dialysis unit and the financials of that. I'm the one that tried to do the prevention of progression of renal disease. When that patient died of an accident in the dialysis unit, I couldn't separate myself from that patient. Why give me kidney failure? These were my questions of God. And it took me 2 years to understand that God wanted me to figure out how to regenerate kidney and reverse kidney failure. And the best way that God felt that it could be done by somebody like me was to motivate me by giving me the disease. So I took the cue and I started working on it. And I trained myself in a number of different unrelated fields in medicine and related fields. Um, and I can describe that personal journey if you'd like some more. It wasn't easy. It was very, very challenging, and there were many late nights of deep and hard study, persuading people to try things out that they would have never tried out in a million years. And then myself convincing myself that this is the right thing to do, and this is the correct approach, and here is the collection of things to do in this order with this particular rationale and reasoning behind it. So it took a lot of trial and error and um, experimentation and a lot of generous patients who were willing to give their time and their bodies and commit to the future of other kidney failure patients being free of dialysis and kidney transplantation. So I thank every patient of mine that allowed themselves to come up to me so I could develop this protocol with their help. Of course, with the caveat that we would first never do any harm, and that we would always be gentle, polite, conservative, traditional in terms of our approach, never harming the patient. And we were lucky enough to come up with a protocol to reverse kidney failure by regenerating kidney in 2015, which we patented. And we were lucky enough and humbled enough and honored by the American Society of Nephrology that they chose to publish our protocol in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology. JR, thank you.
It's incredible. Thank you. It's most
Thank you.
pioneers have to experiment. They have to do science. They are collecting the data. They are doing so much more without a proven template or a standard of care. And
Yes.
there's so many factors. How are your patients going home and how compliant are they being? Are we isolating everything? And there's another doctor who's been on here, and you've been in the group, Dr. Ken Charlin. And the typical neurology world, it's just managed.
Yes.
Once they have a diagnosis, and things
Absolutely.
only go worse. So you are taking a different care instead of just caring for these people and nurturing them, of trying to restore, regenerate. So I am very interested to hear, what
Thank
did you learn through treating yourself? Because I call myself the human guinea pig. I've had stem cells 11 times. You're sending me nutrients. I'm doing injections. Nothing that I believe is harmful, but again, accidents happen, things happen. There's risk, and you've even helped me get better over the last several months. It's since COVID happened, doing everything humanly possible to optimize my health, and you've been a part of that. So tell me a little bit about what you discovered, what you learned, what you found worked better than others, and just all the factors that you found for not only treating these patients with compassion and empathy, where others may have not, in a speed volume based care model. Tell me how you were able to care for people, experiment, heal yourself, and then ultimately patent your get it patent. I'm really interested in that type of journey.
Thank you, JR.
How many doors were slammed? How persistent did you have to be? Because there's a lot of visionaries in here that are listening that believe in a different playbook. So it's no easy journey. It's a journey. I'll just say that for anybody that's created or invented anything. So I would love to know some of the ups and downs of that process.
Thank you so much, JR. I'm so heartened to hear that, that you are such a courageous person. You are the ideal patient, right? When you asked me to articulate to you who the ideal patient is, it is somebody like you, somebody that's open-minded, that believes in the goodness of doctors or the ability to deliver a cure when they're making a claim, and somebody that is willing to do their part and bring their findings to the table. This is not a solo journey for the doctor or the patient. We're all in this together as a team. And so I've been very lucky and privileged to have patients like yourself who were the first adopters of this protocol that I came up with. And, I'll tell you the case stories of a few of them. as well. And so I had a 65-year-old gentleman whose mother-in-law in her 80s ran and brought him to the clinic. He had just recovered from um, multi-organ failure due to sepsis from a diabetic foot. And he had gone into kidney failure at the time because he was also on a ventilator. And so it was multi-organ failure at the time. And they had amputated the infected foot. So he had been wheelchair bound and on dialysis ever since. And this was 10 months since that time. And he hadn't made any urine other than about 100 ml or less of dirty brown color urine every day. And he had failure to thrive. His serum albumin was very low. His cholesterol was very, very high, the LDL cholesterol. His hemoglobin was low and it wasn't coming up with higher and higher doses of ESAs, what we call erythropoietin. And he was really dying basically on a very slow sort of a spiral, descent down to death. And so when his mother-in-law brought me, he had no hope, and he was extremely pessimistic about his chances of survival. And after I went over everything that I do, and then I gave him the very first treatment after he signed the informed consent and everything. He went home and he called me and he said, "Doc, you won't believe it. For the first time in 10 months, I've made a liter of clear yellow urine." And I said, "Wow, with the very first treatment, that's fantastic. I want you to get a mason jar, catch this urine and bring it and come and show it to me." So he did. He went to dialysis the next day, and the third day he was in my clinic again. And he brought this jar of urine, but he said, "Doc, you won't believe it. It's actually turned white." And I said, "Let me see, because I've never heard of white urine." And I looked at it and I knew immediately that something big is going on here, that this is not chyle or pus or semen. At the time, I did not have a laboratory and high-tech equipment like we do right now, thankfully. But I knew that this was something very big. Most likely, this was stem cells, and most likely they were coming from the kidney because of the protocol that we had given him to reactivate the regeneration of his kidney. And so at the time, I didn't have the equipment, I didn't have the procedures and the methods. And then I came up with other ways to make sure that those stem cells stay in the kidney and actually regenerate the kidney rather than falling out of the kidney into the urine due to the burning fire of inflammation of dialysis. So we added a few steps to the protocol. They stayed in place. They regenerated his kidney. His LDL cholesterol plummeted. His adequacy of dialysis number went up exponentially without the dialysis prescription increasing. His hemoglobin went up. His state of well-being improved. He became a lot more energetic. He had a lot of stamina, strength, and endurance on physical therapy. Every time he'd come to the clinic, he'd show me the size of his biceps. "Look, doc, look at my biceps. Look at my triceps. Look how big they've grown. I'm walking now 10 times up and down in the hallways in the physical therapy unit. I'm happy. I'm singing again." He's a fisherman. He's a musician. His wife and his mother-in-law were extremely happy. They were thrilled. Um, and based on his adequacy of dialysis and the fact that he was making urine, his nephrologist, if the nephrologist had chosen to, could have given him a trial of taking him off dialysis. So that is one story. And at that point, a few political things happened, and the nephrologist was unable to do it, and the patient stopped coming for treatments at that point, even though clinically we could have made a case for taking him off dialysis and observing the possibility of that. Now, obviously, this is not probably going to be everybody's story. He had acute kidney injury, not chronic kidney disease, and he was also relatively recently on dialysis. And dialysis is, as you know, is the most nephrotoxic therapy, even though it's life-saving. So I would never be here to tell you don't go to dialysis if you were a patient already on dialysis. But what I would say is the longer somebody has been on dialysis, or the more comorbid conditions they have, or if they've had chronic kidney disease for a long time before going on dialysis, those things will influence the outcome of this. This was a sentinel case that basically highlighted a lot of things that I'd been looking for that I found. Subsequently, I was also able to prove the nature of these cells. They were not just stem cells. They were a number of different kinds of cells that have previously not been seen before in human urine. And we have a research laboratory facility that allows us to do a few experiments. And we're very lucky and blessed that we're able to do that and show that. The second patient, another 65-year-old lady, long-standing diabetes, chronic kidney disease, peripheral neuropathy, about a 20-pound amount of fluid on her body, severely depressed, heavy chain smoker, had multiple fractures of her ankles because of losing proprioception from the peripheral diabetic neuropathy. Well, and she'd been told that she needs to go immediately on dialysis. Now, she was actually the executive assistant of my own insurance agent. And I had worked with her without knowing that she had kidney failure for many years, for more than a decade. So when I brought her into the clinic, and I gave her our protocol, somewhere between 7 and 20 treatments. She lost her 20 pounds of fluid weight. She regained sensation in her feet. She was able to walk fast again and volunteer in church, something that she'd given up doing, attending church, because she wasn't sure if she knew where she was placing her foot. She had to look down when she was walking, so her speed had slowed down. But now she was able to walk really fast without having to look down at where she was setting her foot. She stopped smoking largely. Her diabetes became under much better control, and her creatinine dropped to the extent that the nephrologist could not put her on dialysis. And that situation continued without further treatments for almost 2 years. So, um, so that was another story. And then I have a couple of other stories, one of whom is my own attorney, who did not even know he had kidney failure, but had stage 3 chronic kidney disease. In his case, it was probably related to a very highly stressful lifestyle and vigorous exertion, and probably taking non-steroidals due to being so athletic, and perhaps not hydrating as much as he could have, and so on. There's a lot of possible contributors in that situation. And he didn't know that his kidney function was, low. And so we gave him back an additional 35% of kidney function. And what that helped him do was get rid of a chronic fungal sinusitis that he had nursed for 3 years and had multiple surgeries for, and had been on antibiotics for more than 100 days in that 3-year period. He was able to kick that infection off once his kidney function recovered. And he didn't know he had chronic kidney disease. So I can go on and tell you more stories. I have a 12-year-old boy who had congenital kidney failure, who had to go on dialysis, but then we were able to postpone the dialysis by returning about 25% more, 30% more kidney function, and so on and so forth. And there are many themes that are coming up from this. There's a lot of people who have chronic kidney disease at an early stage and who fall sick more often, who may have brain fog, who may have osteoarthritis, who may have the flu more often, more fatigue, more aching muscle, loss of muscle mass, aching muscles, less endurance, less mobility, flexibility. And they may not realize that some of these non-specific symptoms are not aging, but they're actually attributable to organ dysfunction. And in the case of chronic kidney disease, which is actually the most common disease, it affects 1 in 10 people all over the world. And in the United States, it's 15%, not 10%. And in other countries, like in India, it's almost 20% of the population has kidney failure. And so it's very possible that kidney disease is a great contributor to these non-specific symptoms that we tend to attribute to, oh, I'm just getting older. Oh, it's just my thyroid. Oh, it's because I was an athlete when I was younger. I'm paying the price now. No pain, no gain. All of these things that we have been raised to believe are part of the aging process, part of the price that we have to pay for athleticism, they may be attributable to kidney dysfunction. So I would recommend, come see us. We are standing by to serve you with respect and humility and love. We want to take care of you and get you feeling well again soon. Come see us.
Right. I
Thank
got a
you.
big question that
Yes.
there's a lot of viewers that are listening that when they go into functional or regenerative, they want their ideal patients. They want the patients that are ready to be compliant, that are wanting to get back to the things that they love. There's a stigma when you're dealing with chronic pain, chronic disease, that they
Yes.
just want the drugs. They don't want to get any better. And you later be found a gift that you got sick. You had the compassion. You have the empathy. You took on that other person's, issues inside what that complication of death, and that carried with you for a long way. So I'm curious how, when you're seeing these patients, maybe some of it's alternative and not covered by insurance, you have to enroll them into saying yes to taking action here. So when working with chronic versus just that acute case, how have you not let it take over your energy in life, had that boundary, and how do you enroll them into what they need to do to where your protocol can actually have the ultimate impact? So I
Thank you.
think a
That's
lot
a
of people
great
struggle
question,
with this.
JR. And I will give you as much of an insight into our process as I'm able to. So when patients come into our clinic, we initially we have about 15 different types of paperwork that we go over with them.
Mhm.
And this is mainly to educate people more than anything else. The education component is huge in our program. And the education component is to tell people, is to bring everybody on board with the fact that yes, chronic medical illness can be reversed, even if it's chronic kidney disease, which is one of the most difficult diseases. And in fact, it has never been described before in Western medical literature that kidney failure can be reversed before we first did. So, yes, indeed, chronic kidney disease at any stage can be reversed. If you've been told that you need dialysis imminently or within a year or within 2 years, come see us because we can prevent that. If you have known chronic kidney disease of an early stage and you have non-specific symptoms, come see us. So we'll have those patients fill out the questionnaire and of their history and their symptoms. We will do an extensive panel of tests, including some research tests that we have developed here in our facility that studies their body's ability to regenerate, the biological age of their body compared to their chronological age, and just the numbers of all of these things, including their creatinine, their hemoglobin, their LDL cholesterol, and protein in their urine, and so many other things that we have shown improve with our protocol. Clearly, distinctly improve significantly. So again, as I said, I can't tell you it will improve in everybody, but I can tell you in that everybody that we have done our protocol on, which is at this moment of time, a small number in the tens of people, it has consistently and safely and effectively done that. So we will go over those case results, the chemistries and the findings in each patient with the new patient. We will tell them what we will be administering to them. And then we will tell them what they can expect, what we can guarantee for sure, which is improved energy, increased strength, increased stamina, better mood, less brain fog, and so many other things that we can guarantee and we will guarantee. And definitely, there will be improvements in their blood work too, including their serum creatinine. And these are things that they can expect. And then we will tell them what they cannot expect, which is I cannot guarantee that every patient that has kidney failure that comes to see us that we will absolutely and positively reverse their kidney failure without a shadow of a doubt, because those kinds of blanket statements can be made when we see large numbers of people in the thousands, and we are not just there yet. It's not because I don't have faith in what we do. It's just because in order to make a blanket confident statement like that, we should see thousands of people, and we're working our way to get there. So we will explain that to them, and then we will go over certain other things like the legal paperwork, like informed consent, and what they are committing to in terms of coming in, getting their blood work and urine tests done, filling out the history forms, reporting any adverse events, how they must be truthful and comprehensive and complete when they're describing their findings. And then, if they're not compliant, then up to what point can we accept a little bit of variation from patient to patient. And then we will do the screening blood tests, and their inclusion and exclusion criteria. If they meet the inclusion criteria and they don't meet any of the exclusion criteria, such as if they've had a heart attack or a stroke in the last 3 months, or if they've had cancer less than 10 years ago, if they have a bleeding disorder, and if they're pregnant, if they're above the age of 80 or below the age of 18, these are some exclusion criteria. If they're already on dialysis, that is also an exclusion criteria at this point of time. So, and on the other hand, if they're able to pay a nominal sum of money for the kinds of things that we are guaranteeing them, and also meet all the inclusion criteria by labs and by physical exam, then they're in. Then it's a 30-day process with their coming in to see us 3 times a week for about an hour each time. And that's 4 weeks. And we do blood and urine tests on day 0, day 2, approximately day 7, day 30, and then we'll do one follow-up at day 60. And then as and when they need us, we will test them and show them the results of what's happened to their biological age, what's happened to their body's ability to regenerate, what's happened to all the routine blood and urine tests, the protein in the urine, the microalbumin in the urine, their hemoglobin, their creatinine, their LDL cholesterol, all these good and bad things. What's happened to all those things? What's happened to the research lab work that shows that they have kidney failure, right? So, depending on how much they want to commit to in terms of knowing everything about their health, we will work with them financially too. We are in the process of obtaining financing for people, so that anybody, this is not just available only to people who can afford a certain amount of money. This is available to anybody who's committed to their health and committed to feeling better, being better, and committed to putting their health number one, and listening to us and understanding that we're in this together and we're here for a win for everybody. And we're not here to harm anybody. We would never do a thing that would harm a single person. That is our Hippocratic oath, and I have no intention of breaking it ever. So everything that we do is safe, efficacious, and consistently reproducible. And that I can guarantee you, JR.
So
Thank you.
you have obviously instilled number one in yourself, which is a belief that we actually can restore or regenerate kidney failure. So
Absolutely.
it's
Yes.
helping the patient see that right away from the beginning. And obvious your passion and
Yes.
your experience and results, speak for itself. Through the
Thank you.
process, you get them to understand that they need to be committed. And this
Absolutely.
is through a dialogue in language. And you even have the risk reversal in there, the areas where you're going to deliver. You can't promise that they're going to restore their kidneys, but you can promise, increased energy, a partnership, a communication, empathy, love. And I know you've been working really hard. You're a brilliant physician. You are incredibly smart.
Thank you.
But most physicians weren't taught to be natural salespeople or natural business people. And I've seen you go on the Unblinded show, just like I have, to learn how to do these enrollments, these communications with patients, because we're not in the age anymore where you could just say, do this. It's about coaching. It's about connection. It's about empathy. It's all these areas, because it is getting the patients to commit to change and knowing that you're the right guide. So tell me what you've learned a little bit through that process of how to communicate for compliance, to communicate for getting people to take new actions, How has that been for you? What have you learned, or what some of the challenges of the old way of pure insurance model versus now this new, you got to get patients to say yes?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I would like to offer to your viewers, and this is something I have learned from Sean Callaghy and the Unblinded Movement, and from yourself, JR, from the coaching that you've provided me with, and from some sales and marketing intensive training that I've taken with Mr. John Asaraf, my mentor, and his students. So I would like to offer your viewers, anybody that has chronic kidney disease of any stage, but if they have symptoms and they have stages 3, 4, or 5, I would like to give them a challenge. If you have symptoms such as low energy, depression, brain fog, loss of muscle mass, loss of strength, loss of endurance, loss of ability to do physical therapy due to any reason, and innumerable other non-specific symptoms such as a loss of appetite, weight gain or weight loss, and just a feeling of illness, fatigue all the time, listlessness, loss of energy, loss of interest, apathy. If a person has all of these symptoms, I would like to encourage you to take a 30-day challenge with us. Commit to a 30-day challenge. Every day we will work with you. You will come see us 3 times every week, but we will talk to you on the phone every day. We will email you. We will teach you about your body. We will teach you how to recognize the signs of improvement early so that you don't have to go through the reverse stages of grief. You can actually go through an accelerated recognition of the regaining of the strength, the regaining of the energy, the regaining of the endurance, the regaining of the ability to do physical therapy, the regaining of a better mood. You will recognize that early and you will own it because you see the difference between day to day of this treatment. Literally, the very first treatment, and certainly at the end of 30 days, I can guarantee you this. I can promise you this. If you've been too sick and too tired to keep up with a spouse that seems to have moved forward or zoomed ahead in their career while you were home taking care of the kids and running the household, or if you were in corporate America and you were running around getting things done for your bosses and your reports, and suddenly you found that you were popping non-steroidals for back pain here and there, and you find yourself with stage 3 kidney disease, or you have something that's not getting better and nobody's telling you what, and you have like a piece of paper that says, oh, by the way, your kidney function is 65 ml per minute, your estimated glomerular filtration rate, and somebody's put a circle around it and sign their initials to it, but not explain to you what that means. Okay, if you feel older than your chronological age and you look older than your chronological age, and you're not sure what that is due to, come see us. Invest 30 days in us. We'll do a 30-day challenge, and I will give you a start date for this. I would like to start in the early part of the new year. So let's say January 5th, okay? A 30-day challenge starting January 5th. Come join us in person. You have to do this in person in Houston. On the days you're not here physically taking the treatment, we will be on Zoom with you. But you got to take the treatment in person. Take the challenge and see for yourself what happens to your biological age, how we're able to bring it down in such a short period of time. See what happens to your blood work. See what happens to that protein in the urine. See what happens to your creatinine. And we'll give you the tools to assess your own energy level, your own endurance, your own strength, stamina, muscle mass, feeling of well-being. We will give you the tools to objectively grasp the rapid and exponential improvement in that. So you will see for yourself that you are not left behind, that somebody cares about making sure that you keep up with everybody else. You're not alone. We are here with you and we are here for you. Thank you.
We all need a doctor like you. Yeah.
Thank you.
How do
I
you not get
appreciate you
fired
for
up
the
with
thank you
that
for the
versus
chance.
ones that won't even look in your eyes or give you 10 minutes of time in conventional care? So, you have any relatives, loved ones? Honestly, like your level of attention, care, and detail when working with your patients is incredible,
Thank you.
unbelievable.
You're
And
so
it's
kind.
so
Thank you,
cool.
JR. I appreciate the opportunity.
I
Thank
know
you.
you're helping people in your clinic. You take referrals, you have this model. You are working to scale this, to finance it, to get it to India. Tell us really about the business potential or how
Yes.
you see this shaping up, as there's other practitioners that maybe are in this field or niche and are interested in working with chronic kidney failure. This is a bonifiable business plan that you're putting together.
Absolutely, JR. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to patients. And we are looking for patients who can come to Houston and start our 30-day challenge on January 5th. Start it. We will hold your hand every step of the way, every day. And then once we get our FDA approval, which we're anticipating will be about a 3 to 6 month process, by the middle of 2021, we are looking for 3,000 doctors to train in the same model of what we do, the patient care that we provide. 30 days challenge to a significantly better and more healthy you
Wow.
with with reversal of biological age. Okay, so we're looking for 3,000 doctors to train. If you're interested, please contact info@theimmortalityinstitute.com. Whether you're a patient or a doctor, info@theimmortalityinstitute.com. And in the subject line, just put patient or MD or both if you're both. And there is a very beautiful business model as well that goes along with this, that is need based, that can be implemented by each doctor in their community. And what we can show you is how, by seeing just 333 patients a year, I took that number because it's kind of a difficult to forget number. By just seeing 333 patients a year, a doctor can gross an income of $1 million. And we will provide the entire back end support for this doctor. We will train their staff, we will train the doctor, we will train them on the software, we will train them on all of our support and systems, and we will help them get started in every way that we're able to support them. And so they can make that income for the foreseeable future. If they choose to remain in that practice for 30 years or 40 years, they can have a gross income of $1 million a year and pay their staff exceedingly well and cure 333 or more patients a year of kidney failure. So yes, we have a lovely business model and we're very happy to go over it with anybody that's interested. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present it, JR. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm hoping COVID has woke the world up, and there's many of us that believe people are taking health as a priority now. They recognize the importance of lifestyle medicine as opposed to just, dependent on something else. So tell me a
Absolutely.
little bit to the viewers, what does the future of chronic disease, what are the solutions? I don't believe managed care is going to be able to keep up. Maybe it is, I could be wrong, but there's too many doctors that want a different model of care to write their own playbook, to have freedom. Ultimately, that's what everybody here wants, is to live the life on their terms by doing what they love and what they're passionate about. So what does the future look like in this line of the work and this business need out there as well?
Such a great question. And I deeply, deeply appreciate your asking me this question, friend. Um, we are seeing some very disturbing trends in our society from a healthcare and a personal health standpoint. Would you agree?
Oh
Do you
yeah.
agree? Do you see younger people getting sicker with terrible disease,
Yes.
falling like before their, as soon as that 25-year limit at which their parents' insurance falls off, right?
Yeah.
These young children, I mean, I call them children, but young adults are falling sick with type 2 diabetes, with kidney failure, with heart disease, cancer. I'm seeing more and more young people fall sick, not able to keep up with the stress and the pressure of all the different things that we have to learn and be the master of in order to negotiate and have a future that we would like, that may be financially independent at some point in our lives.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that I see us doing as the Immortality Institute, with our commitment to organ and human organism regeneration, is keeping everybody healthy. It's to do whatever it takes to ally with whoever the partners may be. For example, we are about to announce a major partnership with a company that's located in Germany that manufactures some amazing devices that can protect every individual from the adverse effects of what some people say is 5G, or what I call ambient electromagnetic cacophony. Okay. Some of the products like these that are from all over the world, we want to provide them for prevention purposes to as many people as possible, including young ones. We want to provide it in a financially affordable way, in a way that generates income for them. And then the people who are chronically medically ill already, people who already have chronic medical illness, no matter what their chronological or biological age is, if they seek our care and they have unfinished business in life that they need to take care of, no matter what their age is and no matter how sick they are, we want to reverse their chronic medical illness, and we want to give them back their biological age, but bring it back to their chronological age or better, so they can accomplish the mission of this lifetime. And it looks very promising for the near future. One of the things, I will just give you a small little insight. We have described the existence of a human body regenerative organ system that we call Regeneros, and it is spelled Regeneros. And the OS is organ system, like the computer people would say operating system. And regener refers not only to regeneration, but the generosity that flows in our body from a higher source that allows this body to come back again and again and again and revive and regenerate and replenish and be able to give to others, right? So every place where this regeneros intersects with any other organ system is a fertile ground for drug discovery. We believe that our economy will be supported, the American economy will be supported for the next 500 years with drug discovery at the juncture of every other organ system with this regenerative organ system. And wherever that intersection is, the new drugs that are discovered will give new life and hope to the solid system and architecture of Western medicine. And I'm here to show you that future and to tell you and to promise you that that future is imminently in our lifetimes. It's happening right now. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share this good news with you. Thank you.
You, your passion, your energy, your kindness, your generosity, and belief is really inspiring. You know, I've met you and met very few people as hungry, motivated, and shouting from a rooftop the importance of your work. And
Thank you.
it's what I say to any doctor that's listening, coach or trainer. If you don't have conviction behind your work, how are you going to inspire somebody else to take action behind that? And you, my friend, have conviction, belief, passion, and kindness, and the sky's the limit. So thank you for your impact. We look forward to continuing to update where that's going. Again, reach out below. The link's right below this website. You can get in contact and learn more. Jump into the 30-day challenge if you or a loved one could benefit from help. If you just want to contact or looking and you work in this niche or specialty about the business opportunity, click the link below as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, JR. I appreciate you deeply. Thank you for having such a pure and beautiful, loving heart. And thank you for caring for fellow human beings, including myself, so much. And I want to thank your audience for giving me the opportunity to listen to this. And I deeply appreciate you for the opportunity to speak to your audience, JR. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all the amazing work you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you.